This is our last rapid round question. Anthony Hudson, we start with you here. Do you believe the governor should have emergency powers beyond 30 days without legislative approval?
No.
Okay. The same question. This obviously was, during COVID, we all.
No.
Okay.
No, and that's the reason why I'm actually running. It's 5 years ago, during the COVID lockdowns, I drove my wife to an OB's appointment. I had to wait in the car instead of going in because of Gretchen Whitmer and the Democrats in Lansing. And I get a text saying we lost our secondborn. A text. I should have been next to her. This needs to end as your next governor. This will never happen again.
Thank you very much. Mike Cox, emergency powers.
No. And that I'm also want to comment that I was the attorney who successfully defended Unlock Michigan, when Gretchen Whitmer tried to attack them and keep them from getting on the ballot. I won in the Court of Appeals, I beat Whitmer, I won in the Supreme Court and beat her. And by the way, my very last client in private practice was a guy by the name of Donald J. Trump, who hired me to defend him when he won in Michigan last fall against any Democrats trying to steal it from him. He brought me on board because he wanted a fighter for a fighter. Again, let me repeat, no.
Thank you very much. Carla Wagner, should the emergency powers go beyond 30 days without legislative approval?
No, and I would actually like to shorten them to like 15 days. I don't think we really have any emergency maybe that would need to go further than that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reba.
So the answer to that is no. I wouldn't want to go beyond that, but I'd like to ask Mike Cox what case it was that he did in what month and year that he took it to the Supreme Court.
It was Unlock Michigan versus Whitmer. If you want, I will post it on my website, Mike Cox 2026, later on tonight.
Just for full transparency, that was not the case that opened up Michigan. It was Dr. Randy Baker. His case went to the Supreme Court, was approved the very day they turned in their signatures. I just wanted to set the record straight.
Jessica, I believe I have 30 seconds to respond.
Yep. Go ahead, and that'll be it, yes.
Okay. I've handled a lot of cases, so I don't carry them around. But please go to my website, it'll be right on the front. And you're absolutely right. I did not say that that was the case. What I said is Unlock Michigan hired me to represent them. And twice, Governor Whitmer, Mark Brewer, you know who he is, tried to get them knocked off the ballot. And I kept them on at the Court of Appeals and the Michigan Supreme Court. And when you see it on my website tomorrow, Ralph, I hope you apologize, but I won't expect it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the rapid, should we give you a, no, that was your initial, that was rebuttal, okay. That concludes the rapid round here. We're gonna go now to our closing statements. Each candidate gets 2 minutes, not 15. That'll be in total, hopefully, no more than that. 2 minutes, each candidate receives 2 minutes for closing remarks, and the order is now reversed as to how we started, so it begins with Mr. Tom Leonard.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you for being here. What an incredible night. And, I'm often asked by people, what was my proudest moment as a prosecutor? And it's not a case that you would think. I had this case, this young man had been charged with 3 10-year felonies, assault with intent to do great bodily harm. I showed up to the hearing. His attorney asked me, he said, Tom, would you go to the back, would you spend some time with this young man? I thought it was only going to be a few short minutes. I was there for over an hour. This young kid, 17 years old, charged as an adult, orange jumpsuit, shackled, tied to the ground. And he said, sir, everything that's in that police report, what he had done is he had shot these 3 young men at a bus stop. And he said, everything in that police report is 100% accurate. I can't refute one word, but what's not there is this. What I did that day was in self-defense. And I don't know what to do because over the next 10 years, I'm going to be in prison and my life's going to be ruined. And there was just something that day in my heart, I believed that young man. I sent my officer in charge back out and I said, Raj, you've got to determine whether or not there was any video surveillance that day. He comes back 4 hours later with this DVD and he said, Tom, you're not going to believe it. This thing was within hours of resetting. We popped it in, and every single thing that young man said was 100% true. Within an hour, we had him out of jail and we had the other 3 arrested for falsifying a police report. I tell you that story because of this. is I travel this state and I listen to people. Much like that young man, they are beyond themselves, they don't know what to do. Businesses who feel the government's coming down upon them. Parents that don't believe their kids are being educated. We've got people that don't believe they can any longer stay in their homes because they can't afford the property taxes. And frankly, they are looking for a candidate that is going to sit down, listen, and come to the table with a positive vision focused on solving problems with real solutions. That's what we did that day. That's what this campaign is going to be about over the next year, and that's what I'm going to do as the state's next governor.
Senator, thank you. Anthony Hudson, 2 minutes for closing statements.
Since we're playing the game of I was the only candidate, I am the only candidate that has over 20 million views on social media in the last 90 days. 10 months ago, none of you knew who I was. Now I'm sitting up here on stage talking to you about my vision for the state of Michigan. That's what America is. The ability to have a dream and go after it. If you've got the personality, if you've got the thick skin, if you've got the ability to stand up for yourself, I say go for it. We have enough crooks in Lansing. We don't need another one. We need someone that's going to go to work for you. I hear the word leadership. It's not leadership, folks. Stop with the status quo. We're servants to you. We work for you. Lansing is just where we go to work to represent all of you. We are in the position we're in right now today because our legislators didn't do their job 20 years ago. Do you want to say the same thing 20 years from now? Or do you want to stand up and say, I had my part in revolutionizing the state of Michigan with policies that put my money back in my pocket, with a servant who cared about the people because he came from the people? Or do you want to keep going with the same bureaucratic nonsense that we get told year in and year out every time there's an election cycle from politicians who tell you what you want to hear to manipulate you, get your vote, get your support, and then guess what? They disappear. I respond to 90% of the comments I get on social media, and I am a one-man show. I've traveled this state 24,000 miles on $36,000 and been in, 17 parades, 15 festivals, 11 Lincoln dinners. It's not about the money, folks. It's about someone's ability to actually work hard and deliver the message. I'm tired of hearing people talk about change. Do it. And you change the way you vote is the way you start. Thank you.
Anthony Hudson, thank you. Round 3, Matt, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
The revival that,
Let's try the other microphone if you don't mind. There we go.
all right. The revival that we're experiencing in America right now is the turning point in America's history. When Donald Trump took office this January, the shockwave of freedom was felt all around the world. It came at a time, folks, when everybody thought that the American dream was gone and lost to the annals of history forever. My friends, as I sit here and look at this group of people, I am reminded of the American Revolution, where people gathered to say, what are we going to do about the tyranny that we've been under? We're in Michigan. We've experienced the same thing under a tyrannical governor. The difference is everybody sitting up here would have been pastors. They would have been leading the charge, telling you folks, this is what we have to do because you have God-given rights. We want to end little boys being told they can become little. We don't want to. We will end the transgender nonsense. We will bring our safety to our streets. We will not have parents viewed as terrorists. That's not going to happen under my watch. You're going to have so much freedom in Michigan that you will not have tasted that for such a long time. We're also going to vigorously defend the life of the unborn. Friends, we can't ignore that issue. We can't say, oh, it's just in the Constitution. Imagine what people would have, imagine if people said that about slavery, or they said that about, what's the other thing? Slavery or civil rights. We can't let that issue go. Because if you get abortion wrong, or if you hide that topic, or you're not willing to talk about it, what else will you hide when you're in the office, and what else are you going to get give bad advice on to not do. So I'm just telling you folks, I'm going strong on all of those issues.
Well, very good, thank you. Marla Wagner, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Thank you. So, again, what I see is that the state needs a lot of serious help. We are a bankrupt state. You can't deny that. We need to make it more affordable for people to live here and to do business here. But what I see is we also have a problem with our Republicans in Lansing. We need people that are willing to listen to the people and to hear what we have to say and not work on their own agenda. Unfortunately, we have maybe 5 to 7 very conservative legislators who are on our side and are willing to listen to us. But you know, the Republicans just wrote a budget that increased what Whitmer had increased over the last 6 years. We didn't go down, we didn't go the right way. We're not making Michigan any more affordable for the people. As I've traveled across the state, I've tried to listen to what people need, and everybody says it's affordability, to be able to stay here, to be able to send their kids to school here, work here, live here, and enjoy Michigan. What we need to do is we have to look at Michigan's natural resources and tap that for revenue instead of taxing the crap out of our people. This has got to stop, or we will not survive. Thank you.
Marla Wagner, thank you. Mike Cox, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. As I said, I'm the son of Irish immigrants who came to Michigan when it was the greatest state and the greatest nation in the world. We still live in the greatest nation, but unfortunately, because of failed leadership, we are not that state anymore. The numbers tell the story. 3rd worst in 4th grade reading. Unemployment at records highs. Worst job creation record in the nation. My immigrant parents taught me a few things. They taught me we were fighting Irish. Some stereotypes are right. We are fighters, just like the people from Sparta, I expect, are fighting Spartans. And so my mom and dad taught me to do the right thing and fight for it, so I became a Marine rifleman, enlisted out of high school. After that, I put myself through college, and then became a 13-year prosecutor in Detroit. And you know what? I stood alone in a courtroom fighting and prosecuting murderers, the worst of the worst, and I beat them. I took the experience and the tools that I learned there and built a team to win the closest statewide race in 100 years. I beat Gary Peters, the only person who's beaten Gary Peters ever, who's had the R behind his name. When I got there, I did consequential things. I was on the Second Amendment I talked about. Let's talk about fighting illegal immigration. I told the Secretary of State, no more driver's licenses to illegal immigration. I didn't wait till 10 years later when it became politically popular. I will take on the right fights for you. The same assets that my parents saw, 4 Great Lakes, a great state, are still here. And if you want to make our state safe again, if you want to make our state smart again, if you want to make our state prosperous again, elect someone who can win and is a leader and knows how to create jobs. Thank you very, very much.
Mike Cox, thank you. Eric Nesbitt, you have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
I want to thank all of my colleagues for showing up here. Because showing up is the first thing to actually make a difference in winning the election next year. I just wish one other person would have showed up here to answer these same questions. And look forward that John James can actually show up to answer some of these questions in the future. We need a partner with President Trump. Somebody who will work to make sure that his policies of getting made in the USA actually make it in Michigan. And unfortunately, under Governor Whitmer and the Democrats in Lansing, what we've seen are higher costs for our citizens here in Michigan, for our working families here in Michigan, tougher for our job creators to actually invest and grow in the state of Michigan, and tougher for our kids to actually make it here in Michigan. I was in Grayling about 2 months ago. Had a little meet and greet there. I've been to 82 of the 83 counties so far. And there was a person from Tennessee that moved from Tennessee to Michigan. You don't find those too often. You gotta remember, Tennessee's a right to work state, no income tax. But he said he moved to Michigan and he added up the cost of insurance, the cost of taxes, the cost of his utility bill, his energy bill. And it came up to $5,000 more per year just for the privilege of living in Michigan. I don't know about you, but as a farm boy, that's a lot of money. And so if we're going to allow families and workers to actually make it here in Michigan again, that means we got to lower the cost of government by lowering taxes. That means we have to lower the cost of insurance by increasing competition and rooting out fraud. That means we actually have to lower the cost of energy by repealing the Green New Scam and making sure we rebuild Line 5. That's how you make it in Michigan, and that's why I'm running for governor. Thank you for coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to our candidates. If you'd like to give them a nice round of applause, there's 6 candidates here. Thank you. And now the chairman is Jim Lynch. What an amazing event. The candidates were sterling. I can't believe this incredible audience that we have, or who came out to hear these candidates, and I was so impressed. We're going to be doing 2 more debates, and we're going to shake it up a little bit. We won't have these same questions. We're going to make sure that they're challenged at each one of these debates, but I am so excited at the caliber of the candidates that we have. You know that we're going to have a phenomenal candidate coming out of all of this to go up against the Democrats for the governor. It's going to be amazing. So I want to thank our moderators. I want to thank our candidates. I also want to thank, we have a couple of tables that have paid. Please stop by on your way out. Michigan Fair Elections and Michigan Vaccine Choice. And with that, thank you so much for coming out tonight. God bless all of you, and God bless America.